Let me be like water, fluid and forgiving. Let me be like water. 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 Let me be like
Thank you for allowing me to see myself the way you see me. Thank you.
Imagine me loving
Can you imagine me over what my mama said, even what my daddy did? And I wanna live and not read that page again. Imagine me being free, trusting you totally. Finally, I can imagine me. I admit it was hard to see you being in love with someone like me. Finally, I can imagine me.
Imagine me.
Being strong and not letting people break me down. You won't get that joy this time around. Can you imagine me in a world, nobody has to live afraid because of your love is gone away? Can you imagine me letting go of the past and that I have another chance and my heart will dance 'cause I don't have to read that page again.
Imagine me.
Imagine me being free, trusting you totally. Finally, I can imagine me.
I admit, Jesus,
I admit it was hard to see you being in love with someone like me.
like me.
Finally, I can imagine me.
I imagine me
Imagine me
being free.
being free, trusting you totally.
Totally.
Finally, I can imagine me.
I'll be honest with you.
I admit it was hard to see.
It was hard.
You being in love with someone like me.
Yes.
Finally, I can
Imagine me.
imagine me.
The song is dedicated to people like me. Those that struggle with insecurities, acceptance, and even self-esteem. You never felt good enough. You never felt pretty enough. But imagine God whispering in your ear, letting you know that everything that has happened is now.
It's gone.
It's all gone.
All gone.
Every sin, every mistake, every failure, it's all gone. Depression, gone. By faith, it's gone. Low self-esteem, hallelujah, it's gone. All gone. It's gone. All my scars, all my pain, it's in the past. It's yesterday. It's all gone. Gone. What your mother did, what your father did. Hallelujah. It's gone.
Good morning, Spirit Rising family. We will give our community just a little bit longer to join us, and then we will lean into our session for today. Latasha, I'm going to ask that you play Oceans by Hillsong as our final preparation song for our time together today.
Is this the right song?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay.
And I would like everyone to get into a meditative state, a reflective meditative state, as we prepare to enter and to arrive at the well of wisdom today.
You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep. My faith will stand, and I will call upon your name, and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours. You are mine. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. My feet may fail and fear surrounds me. You've never failed, and you won't stop now. So I will call upon your name, and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours, and you are mine. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. And take me deeper than my feet could ever want. And my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. And take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. And my faith would be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Oh, Jesus, my God. I will call upon your name. Keep my eyes above the waves. My soul will rest in your embrace. I am yours, and you are mine.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Spirit Rising family. I am so glad to be with you on this very first Sunday in the month of August. And I thank you, Tasha, for those wonderful grounding songs, those three grounding songs that got us ready and prepared for the movement of spirit in and through each and every one of us on this day. We are all active members in this community, and so I know that we all know why we have gathered this Sunday. But you all know that it is my custom to ground us in a framework that we created together that articulates why it is we gather and what this Salon for the Soul really means to us and for us. And so I will start, as I always do, by reminding us that Spirit Rising Salon for the Soul is a sacred space and community where our spiritual growth and liberation meet. Indeed, that is what brings us together, is this commitment to spiritual liberation. We have different faith traditions, different cultural backgrounds, different life experiences, and yet we cohere around this deeply held aspiration to experience spiritual liberation in all aspects of our lives and our affairs. In this space, we offer provocations that stimulate our spiritual curiosity, invite our most authentic self expression, and activate the wisdom of our souls. What a joy it is to know that the wisdom that we seek lies right inside of us, right? And dances and tickles and awakens and expresses itself more fully and more brilliantly and more completely when we are in community. We affirm the power of the collective to serve as a mighty channel for revelation and the flow through of spirit. It is in community that we trust love as the greatest universal power. We honor the divine as spoken by any name and certainly no name at all. We focus on collective liberation through spirit while emphasizing personal experiences and individual transformations. We lovingly explore the intersections of our spiritual development and transformative justice. For certainly, our spiritual affairs have a consequence for our material ones. There's no separation, right? We believe that spiritual intimacy and oneness with the divine is an accessible relationship for all. Indeed, it is the relationship that undergirds all relationships. And we are rooted by profound welcome. This is a persistent and unqualified yes that invites us into a remembrance of our inherent belonging with and to life. And we dare to stand in the spaces of hurt, right? Hurt and hope, to fully witness the possibilities of creation in our lives and around us, which often opens us up to the truth in all the many places we find it, and leads us to embrace the wildness and wholeness of our souls. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Spirit Rising. Now come off mute and say hi to everybody. Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Hey,
y'all.
Mama.
Good morning.
Good morning, my love.
Good morning.
Good morning, Teyama.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Aaron and Delisha and Sherry and Stacy and Misha and Alicia. Hey.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, here we are, you all. Another first Sunday of the month has come, and we get to be together exploring the mysteries of the universe. I don't expect you all to remember, but by way of a through line, the last time I talked with you all on the first Sunday of July, the focus was on the quest for liberation. The quest for liberation. And I was trying to figure out what I would talk about today. Y'all know I really like this liberation stuff, don't you know? It is somehow essential to my being and to my learning and to my teaching. And I was trying to figure out, well, what am I going to talk about? And I'm reading this wonderful book, and I was like, and I've been on vacation, and where are we going to go? And I was looking through previous messages and that I had written, and in one of my folders, I found a book that I downloaded a year ago and never read. Get that. I never read. And it was called The Way of Liberation. My goodness. By Adi Ashanti. So, spiritual teacher, and I'm sure someone whom many of you are familiar with. And if you are not, I encourage you can get The Way of Liberation as an ebook by Adi Ashanti. In it, though, he has a number of chapters, but the one that I want to spend time with today is called The Five Foundations. The Five Foundations. So these are foundations of spiritual liberation. They are contexts in which to, they are contexts for our practice. Context for our practice. And what was so interesting to me was that of the five foundations, there's so many that we know and live and practice already, right? So they aren't, I won't say that they are new to us, but the way he has presented them and brought them together, I thought was useful and powerful. Not new, but useful and powerful, worth digging into. And what I have done is taken these five foundations and done some inquiries. So there's some questions. So if we get through them today, we'll be asking ourselves 5 questions, right? One for each foundation that supports us in our quest for liberation. And so can I just get started? I know we normally ask, well, how are we arriving? Are we okay? I can jump in. Do I have permission? Just let me jump in. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And as we go through our time together, feel free to engage, because so much of what is alive in this will come through our own handling of the material and our sharing with one another. And so, hold this up. Adi Ashanti says the first foundation is to clarify your aspiration. So I'm just going to encourage that for those of you who are taking notes, right? Number 1 is to clarify your aspiration. So I want to handle that for a little bit by asking you to consider this question, which I'm going to put into the chat. The question that goes along with this, it should have, it's not showing up. Can you all see it in the chat? No? Can you see it now? Okay. So here's the question for you to consider. What is the spiritual quest or liberation about for you? What is the spiritual quest about for you? What's it about? We talk about liberation quite often in this space, and indeed that is a lineage that I believe we share, right? And we talk about it in vast generalities when we speak about liberation, but I want to be more specific. In fact, I want to invite you to be more specific. When you think about your own spiritual liberation or your own spiritual quest, what's it about? Right? What's it about for you? And I want to invite you into whatever level of specificity is really helping. It's really helpful to you. The invitation here is to find clarity on what you aspire to and value the most. What you aspire to and value the most. One of the things that Ashanti says is that aspiration is not so much a matter of the mind as of the heart. It is a reflection of what you cherish, love, and value the most. And so this is a grounding question. It helps us clarify the context in which we are doing so much of the spiritual work that has called us into community and that has propelled us in our lives. And so I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes. These are not rhetorical questions. These are actual questions. I'm going to give us 2 or 3 minutes to reflect on the question and to discern answers as they arise. Many of you have been on the path of liberation for a long time. You've been engaged in all manner of spiritual work over the course of your lives. In many ways, it feels like you're on a quest, questing for something, moving towards something, yearning for something. There's a deep, deep, deep longing in the soul. For what? The last thing I'll say here is that this might be an existential question, but it might also just be a question for the now. Like, what is the spiritual quest about for you right now? That might make it more accessible inquiry. All right, everybody, one more minute. Okay. I'd like to open up the floor for anyone to share who'd like to be communally witnessed and held in your understanding of the aspiration, longings, desires, and purpose that underlie your quest, your journey, your spiritual work. Yes, Stacy.
So it's a big question. I'm sure there will be, and probably should be, more rumination and refinement and attraction for more rawness too, I think, as time progresses. But here's what came to me. Things that I seek: a connection to the wisdom of spirit, a remembering of self and of who and what I am, a quest to exist in the highest and best form I can achieve in this lifetime on my way to reunification, like full reunification with spirit. Finding my, or rather tapping into my power, being informed by fear but not contained by it. Love, joy, and leaving what I come into contact with better than I found it, and absorbing the healthiest forms of love and wisdom from those same things.
Mhm.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, dear sister, for sharing. I was taking notes on what you said. Cliff notes, my dear, cliff notes, right? But connection to the wisdom of spirit, to remembering self, who and what I am, full reunification with spirit, tapping into my power, love, joy, and leaving what I come into contact with better than I found it, and absorbing the healthiest forms of love and wisdom into myself. Yes, 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 and yes. You won't be surprised that we have some of these things in common. For my own answers to the what is the quest for spiritual liberation about for me is to live from soul, whole. To live from soul, whole.
That sounds
Are
like
there
full
others?
reunification with spirit to me.
Exactly.
Like full
Exactly.
in our
That
fullness.
might be why we are in each other's lives. Don't you know? Don't you know?
Ride
It
and
might be.
ride.
Yeah, ride and ride. Are there others who would like to share? Maybelle Bennett, dear mother of mine.
Yay, yay, yay. It's good to be here. It's good to be with our Spirit Rising family. Thank you for having me. So, my quest is to explore the mystery of the divine and to expand the extent to which I live into it day by day. I recognize I am both human and divine, and I might not need to separate those two because there is no separation between them. But I recognize that I live more within a human consciousness sometimes than the divine consciousness, and I want to be liberated from some of the limitations of the human manifestation and experience more of the way in which it can magnify its richness. So I'm not poo-pooing my human existence. I recognize there's more to it than I'm experiencing. and can experience it in a more expanded and rich way as I awaken into or emerge into more fully my own divinity. And also because it's important, since I am probably closer to stepping into the next realm where I will be fully liberated from my human manifestation. And so as I move across the veil, it's time to be more conscious, more aware, more intentional about preparing for that new existence here and now before it happens completely.
Oh, great Swami Mommy. Thank you for introducing the ways in which life stage, right, can inform, can and does inform the quest, right? And so I hear you, and not using this language, but I hear you talking about preparing for the dance with death, right? And how that is not an end; it is indeed a change. And as we prepare for other great changes and transformations, right? This too is an opportunity to prepare for great change and transformation that awaits us all. And I heard you say, when asked about your quest, and you're the aspiration at the center of your spiritual liberation and quest at this stage is to explore the mystery of the divine and to expand the extent to which I live and emerge into it day by day. To be liberated from some of the limitations of the human manifestation, of my human manifestation, and experience more of the ways in which my humanity can magnify its richness. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, here, this being more fully, brilliantly, and completely what you are, right? What you are is at the core of that. And I hear the longing to be more of the divine and more of the human, like feeling it in more of its dimensionality, to exist in more of the dimensionality and thickness of being, whatever its expressions, and recognizing that the distinctions between the expressions are practiced, not necessarily hard and fast. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for
Thank you for
being.
sharing. And when you decide to put this body down, just stay in connection, don't you know? You know what I'm saying? We stay connected. Yes. Yeah, I've been moving around the universe with this soul being for ever. That's all I'm gonna say. No separation.
I was just going
Who
to
else
say,
would like to share?
I was just going to reflect that you have said many, many times that you and Sister Maybell have been traveling this path for a long, long time in many, many former incarnations. So yes, you got a thing going there. You got something going on, something good being connected to each other. Huge question.
Yes.
Huge question.
Yep.
And it takes a little while to process it, you know. But as I sat here, I was thinking that I aspire to expand my awareness of the great I am. That I say I am. I am that I am. And in that I am, want to know and deeply feel inside. And yet, right now, I feel so limited in staying and being in the presence of that great I am as I navigate the conditions and the culture of fear that is prevalent right now. It seems so prevalent. And I was listening to that song Oceans, and I thought about the lyrics when you asked that question. Um, I desire to find that great I am that I am, in the mystery of the cosmos, to deepen my faith in the constantness of who I am. I aspire to be free of the conditionings and the false beliefs that keep me from being uh, at one with God, with my Creator, and all of creation. And I could go on and on and on, but at this stage in my life, I want to be free of all that has tethered my soul. So I don't have to, as Sister Maybell so aptly said, I don't want to carry this into the next realm, whatever that next realm may be. But I desire to be free and untethered of all that has kept me so fearful. I want to fly with the wings of an eagle. That's what I want to do. I want to soar.
Ooh, Mama Love, Mama Love, Mama Love. Thank you so much for leaning in and for sharing your understanding as it is unfolding in your life right now. What I heard you say was that you aspire to expand your awareness of the great I am, that you want to know and deeply feel inside that I am as you navigate the conditions of and culture of fear that are prevalent right now, that you intend to deepen your faith in the constancy of who I am and to be free of all that attach your soul and keeps you from being one with your creator and all of creation, to soar. Indeed, indeed, Spirit Rising family, there's some themes, there's some underlying themes that reveal part of our deep attraction to one another. How magnificent it is that we don't have to be on this journey or quest alone. That in the infinite intelligence of all that is, we are held in the vibration of our deepest yearning, collect. That is to say, that I suspect that while this is a personal quest, it is certainly not a singular one. Deeply personal, but not singular. Is there anyone else who wants to share their reflection on the question before we move to the next foundation? Because today is the day of getting clearer about our own journeys.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Like as I'm listening to people, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so wild how many similarities are coming up. Um, the thing that I wrote was that my spiritual quest is learning, it feels like learning to free myself and learning to um be a disciple of love, follow love, but understanding what it means to really be in relationship with all these parts of myself that I've been separated from the body to my soul to my emotions, and learning to unblock and unlearn so much, and just to remember and to remember all of these pieces that have been fragmented. Um, yeah, it just feels like my work feels a lot around my quest feels like it's about relationship and learning to be in relationship with self, learning to help others be in relationship with each other, but then also in relationship with beyond, from like relationship with water to relationship with love to relationship with the cosmos, and just like, yeah, I had a dream this week where the message that I woke up from is something that we say all the time, but the message was just that like separation is the strategy, and just like the ways that we've just been so fragmented. So learning to bring all of these pieces deeper and deeper and deeper into relationship feels like the quest that I'm on.
Ooh, sister, Delisha, I just love you. Well, I love everybody, but I'm specific about loving you. I tell you, we have so much in common. Like the other part of my own that I didn't say was to awaken from the dream of separation, right? To live from soul whole, right? And you said, learning to free myself and understand what it means to be in relationship with the many parts of my being, from my body, my soul, my emotions, to remember all of these pieces that have been fragmented. My quest is about relationship with self, others, and the beyond. And yes, yes. You know I love you, Miss Alicia. I love you. Right? Like, yes, 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 yes. You're in the right place with the right folk doing the right stuff here. But separation is the strategy. It is the strategy, I believe, that all that oppression sits upon. Really, right? It traffics, oppressions traffic in separation. You know, and to not be caught in that trap really requires extraordinary clarity. In fact, soul clarity. Yeah. Okay. What is the prompt? Oh, Miss Alicia, we're talking about the five foundations of spiritual liberation as articulated by a teacher, Adyashanti. And we're on the first foundation. And the first foundation is clarity about your aspiration. So it is clarify your aspiration. Like, and that question is, what is the spiritual quest about for you? What is spiritual liberation about for you? This is a community that is connected to and cares about and committed to our spiritual liberation and growth. And yet I'm not sure that we have certainly touched on it a lot, but I'm not sure that we have ever explicitly just asked, well, what's this spiritual liberation thing about for you? Right? And it's very important for us to get clear about that, to stay clear about it. And it doesn't have to be clear for all eternity, but clear right now, and to use that as an anchor, right, that grounds us, and as a compass that helps us find our way, navigate the complexities and conditions of life. And so today is all question and response, question and response, question and response, using these five foundations from Adyashanti as touch points from which to get clearer about our own spiritual work, purposes, and missions. Yes, Miss Alicia.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. You know what? As I was reading the first question, what is your aspiration? A woman with 7 degrees and very highly intellectual, but sometimes I get stumped with some words. So, like when I see aspiration, I also wonder what's the difference between aspiration and inspiration, right? And so as I go into the definition, and the definition is a little bit more confusing. However, it says that the inspiration refers to a sudden stirs of motivation, creativity, or often sparked by an external stimulus, like an experience, a person, or a piece of art. It sparks that ignition, desire, or to create something. Where it says aspiration, on the other hand, would represent a deeply held desire or an ambition to achieve a specific goal or reach a certain level of success. It is a long-term driving force behind oneself, although they are different but also confusing. So based on the definition that was provided, that yes, what my aspiration has, I have so many desires, right? I got so much desires, but I can't do them all. I want to be like this superwoman that can conquer the world and conquer all forces, right? But I'm also human. I'm human, and I know that, and that's one of the things that I had to come to terms with, being okay with not being okay, being okay with not being able to do everything. And just because I can't do everything that I desire to do does not make me a valuable person, right? What I can do is within my power, excel in that and be okay with that being enough. And so in my head, the war that it's a battle in my mental psyche that you have to be perfect. You have to do everything. Otherwise, you won't be considered valuable, right? And you're not offering anything if you can't do them all. And so the aspiration that I would like to do is not realistic, right? So I have to figure out, what can I do in my human form? And spiritually, I can do anything, right? But in my human form, what can I do that doesn't break me, that doesn't cause me to be burnt out, that doesn't cause me to feel like I'm always exhausted, right? So I got to pick that one or two aspirations, but that is a good question that I have not yet to master. So, and so that's what I have right now. So I got some little homework to do to figure out what is my aspiration within my capability, and that is okay and should be good enough. So that's what I have so far.
Thank you, Ms. Alicia, for providing us with some definitions, some grounding in common language or framework, and for sharing your sort of desires and aspirations, for sharing first the distinction between aspiration and inspiration, aspiration being more internal, inspiration being more external, and for sharing that you have a multiplicity of aspirations, but and trying to figure out what is achievable, what is attainable within the context of your human identity, and not sort of beating yourself up for not being able to do everything, and struggling with the sort of perfection trap. I think it's useful for us to spend a little time with that. Indeed, Adyashanti spends some time with that around on this. And the focus for us today is about the spiritual quest, spiritual aspiration, spiritual liberation, which is not meant to be confined to what people believes is achievable. Let me say that the nature of spiritual liberation is that it will challenge what we believe is attainable, doable, fulfillable. It will stretch us beyond the frames of reference that we practice. That is the nature of this. And so I'm not so much interested in what you or I believe is realistic, as much as I'm interested in what soul is stirring in us and inviting us to experience, explore, engage, and express. So this orientation, this question though about perfection in this process, like, and the way that perfection can be trapped In one of the foundations, Adyashanti talks about the very effort to be perfect is itself insincere, because it is a way of avoiding seeing ourselves as we are right now. And our ability to and willingness to see ourselves as we are, with all of what we perceive to be our imperfections and delusions, and dare I say delusions, requires some genuine sincerity and courage, and gets us out of the practice of hiding from ourselves. And there's no way to be able to awaken from the illusions about who and what we are without the courage to embrace the dimensionality that we are, the pleasant stuff and what we consider to be unpleasant, the nice and the nasty, right? The magnanimous and the stingy, right? The sacred and the street, the glory and the gutter, right? Like all of it, all of it. And so he pushes back on this sort of religious conviction and addiction to perfection, right? And says, oh, no, 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 no. That's really an effort to keep us still separated and apart from the dimensions of ourselves. And indeed, our souls need the full dimensionality, are the full dimensionality, right? And of course, the perfection trap is really a trap around judgment, both internal and external. And that external judgment is really about control. Like we just keep taking it and taking it and taking it where it goes. So thank you so much for bringing up all this richness for our consideration in your own answer and response to the provocation. Family, I'm going to bring us to the second provocation. Yes, Stacy. No? Oh, you ready? Yes. Good.
I'm saying bye. Sorry.
Oh, have fun at the party.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm like, what are we doing?
Sorry. Bye. Love.
Okay. All right. Love you. Bye, sister. Okay. Second question. Well, I added questions to his 5 foundations. So let me actually tell you what the second foundation is. The second foundation is to never abdicate your authority. Never abdicate your authority. What's interesting about that is that we at Empower have our own saying around that. And you all know I downloaded Adyashanti's book a year ago and didn't read it until this past weekend. But we have a set of sort of 8 tenets or fundamental core functions that are part of the Institute in our community healing work, and wrote those about 15 years ago, to be truthful. And the one that aligns with Adyashanti, I never abdicate your authority, is we affirm our power and sufficiency under all circumstances. We affirm our power and sufficiency under all circumstances. We don't give that up. But actually, yes. Are you leaving? Bye-bye.
Bye, baby. Love
Safe
you.
travels.
All right.
Yes. And apparently I skipped one. Excuse me. So number 2 is unconditional follow through. You all, I'm sorry, I jumped to number 3. So number 2 is actually unconditional follow through. And the question that I'd like you to consider that goes with that framework, that foundation, is what you see in the chat. What are you willing to do or let go of doing to realize your aspiration? So if your aspiration is to live from soul whole, or to remember all of the pieces of yourself that have been fragmented, and to be in relationship with the many parts and aspects of being, or to expand your awareness of the great I am, and to be free of all that tethers your soul, or to explore the mystery of the divine and to expand the extent to which you live and emerge in it day by day, or to connect to the wisdom of spirit, then if those are the aspirations that lie at the center of your spiritual quest, of your spiritual liberation, then what are you willing to do, right? Or cease doing to realize your aspiration? And I know, again, this isn't so much revelation because I realize that we spend a lot of energy talking about coming into behaviors and shedding ways of being. But I want to bring it to the foreground of your attention, and I want to bring it in direct relationship to what you understand to be driving your spiritual evolution, right? So, what are you willing to do, you all? What are you willing to not do, or to stop doing, or to release? And I'm going to give you some time to answer that. And one way you could answer that is by doing a long list, right? A lengthy list. That is to say, you could focus on the marbles. But I want to encourage you to answer this question from the essence of things, not the list of to-dos, do's and don'ts, but the foundational behaviors and commitments that are being asked of you in order to live into your spiritual aspiration. What are the commitments that are being tickled and teased? Because unconditional follow through is about commitment. And the aspiration without the commitment is fantasy. So I'll give you 3 minutes. What are you willing to do or let go of doing to realize your aspiration? Another way of thinking about that is what commitments are absolutely essential to the fulfillment of your spiritual quest, to the realization of your spiritual liberation. And I put the question in the second way that I presented it in the chat. One more minute. Welcome, Carolyn. All right, Spirit Rising family. I'm sure there are many things that might still want your attention and might want to be experienced and expressed through your consciousness in response to the provocation. But I'm going to ask that we pause for a moment and open up the floor for those who'd like to share. For those who'd like to share their responses to the provocation. Mama, you came off mute. Did you want to share?
I was holding back because there were so many other people who joined us, and I wanted to give them an opportunity to share if they wanted to. I can. You know me.
I know you can.
I'm ready.
Okay, why don't you get us started?
Okay, so because my aspiration was, among other things, to explore the mystery of the divine, absolutely critical to doing that is the rigorous pursuit of a spiritual discipline of meditation and contemplation. For me, that is the portal to my intentional awareness of the divine that dwells within me. So without that, the exploration that I talked about and the expansion into my own divinity does not occur as fully, brilliantly, and completely as it should. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to align myself with others in the wisdom community, and for me, that um, uh, means associating with uh, people who are pursuing um, the mystical traditions, and they don't all have to be Christian. Right now, we're reading the Bhagavad Gita, and it is a journey. But to align myself, you talked earlier about this is not it is very personal, but it is not something we do alone, that is enriched when you connect with other communities. And so, connecting with others in the wisdom communities who are actively and intentionally engaged in exploring the mystery of the divine is the second thing. And the third thing is fully nurturing my health and well-being, because without the mental acuity, without the physical stamina, I won't be able to absorb, explore, share, um, uh, understand, penetrate, all those things as a part of this fulfilling my aspiration. So I've got to be healthy enough to engage in and enjoy. And then the fourth is to apply. None of this works if I'm not applying it. in my neighborhood, in my church, in my family, in my school, um, in the world, in the political social setting. It all has to come together right down here on the earth, as on earth as it is in heaven, is the is what we say in the Lord's Prayer. And I like the idea of being a channel for the flow through of God's grace and love and presence on earth. And then the fifth thing is to become aware of and eliminate all of those barriers to being able to do that. And I have to be rigorous about that. There has been for a very long time, self-doubt, interior ideations of unworthiness, and the belief that I can't accomplish something. And many of those things are beginning to evaporate as I pursue recovery, for example, from my addictions. The ability to stay on top of those negative um, messages that I hear in my own brain, those over againstness beliefs that would hamper or hinder my forward movement. Um, I've got to be on top of that. I've got to be aware of them, and I've got to be able to eliminate those. And I usually have to have some help, and that help comes from my daily spiritual practice.
Thank you so much, Mama, for sharing your responses to this question around commitments and what we're willing to do and not do or stop doing to realize our spiritual aspirations and to experience spiritual liberation. Your answers were fivefold. So I love that, you had thickness to your answer, right? One is the rigorous pursuit of a spiritual discipline of meditation and contemplation as a portal into your intentional awareness of the divine within, the alignment with others in the wisdom community who are actively and intentionally exploring the divine, nurturing your health and well-being, applying yourself, becoming aware of and eliminating any barriers to love and to your expression of God's love. All of those things being key, right? Key to your experience of spiritual liberation. That's this unconditional follow through, this commitment. What are we willing to commit? What are we willing to commit in order to live fully into our spiritual purpose? Right? So that we don't just stay in the realm of spiritual fantasy. I found that there were some overlaps between your answer and mine, though you were more specific. But again, there are themes that emerge and that have every community. For mine, it's about gracefully and compassionately loving and caring for myself.
Yeah.
Gracefully and compassionately loving and caring for myself, which is really to say, when I start talking about what I'm willing to not do or let go of doing, it is this harsh orientation to judgment, right? To judgment, self-judgment, which, is reinforced externally by all of the many ways that my being and identities are interrogated, inspected, molested, violated within a larger social and cultural context, right? That has difficulty loving both who and what I am. And there's no surprise that I've internalized much of that, even though I've had extraordinary love in my life, right? That's just the complexity of what is. And so for me, living into my spiritual purpose about living whole, living from soul whole, gets me into this gracefully and compassionately loving and caring for myself, suspending judgment, suspending judgment as the dominant operating system. of my psyche.
Mhm.
And that is an invitation to keep coming back to love. Keep coming back to love as the most essential and truthful way of being for me.
Yeah.
To keep coming back to love. That gets to that apply, which is what you talked about. And I wrote to keep coming back to love again and 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 again.
Yeah.
Very much in the same way that I've had spent much of my life coming back to these places of judgment,
Mm.
right? Which have in many ways introduced dysfunction, disability, and dis-ease into my lived experience, right? So the commitment is to love anyway. Just love myself anyway. Like, whatever. Keep loving. But so that is the doing. It's to gracefully and compassionately love and care for myself. The releasing, the not doing, the letting go is the judgment as my dominant psychic operating system. Harsh judgment. And specifically harsh judgment towards myself. Because the harsh judgment towards the world, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is in many ways an extension of my own judgment towards myself. That is to say, I don't judge the world harshly and not judge myself so. Right? And judgment reinforces separation. And remember that my aspiration is to awaken from the dream of separation, to live from soul whole, right? So I keep putting these pieces together because I want us to see how our clarity around the spiritual aspiration and quest is connected to the commitments, right? Anchors in them. Miss Alicia, I see your hand.
Releasing things. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, Mabel, for demonstrating that, because I was struggling a little bit on how to answer from a spiritual aspiration. So I think I got it. So let me just share what I wrote down. So it was a lot, but I picked 3 of them to kind of give you guys the guidance. So give me one second. Okay. So the first one, one second. I don't know what's going on my screen. Give me one second. Okay, there you go. So the first one is this is basically a personal release statement to myself, to kind of like, what am I willing to let go so I can achieve my aspiration. So the first thing is that I release the need to control outcomes. I surrender the illusion that I must have all the answers or hold everything together, and trust that divine timing and alignment will guide me to purpose and peace meant for me. The second is I release the weight of past disappointment. I free myself from carrying old wounds and regret and unmet expectations. They no longer define me, as I select healing and wholeness as the foundation of my forward path. The third thing is I release the fear of being misunderstood. I no longer dim my spiritual light to fit into spaces not meant for me. I embrace my truth with confidence and allow my rawness and realness to make room for the connections that are sacred and aligned. There were more, but those are the three top ones that I believe that if I release those three, it will take me closer to my spiritual aspirations. So that's what I have so far. Thank you all.
Thank you, Miss Alicia. Those are fantastic. They are wonderful, and I think many of us can relate to them. I mean, how powerful. One, releasing the need to control outcomes, right? And surrendering the illusion that you must have all the answers. Right? My. What a thing for us to do, right? Like I'm gonna be in the process. In fact, I'm gonna be the process. That I'm gonna be the process. The outcomes will be what they will be, and I don't have to have it all, know it all, be it all in order to be guided by and aligned with my purpose. The second that I heard you say was releasing the weight of past disappointments and freeing yourself from carrying old wounds, regrets, and unmet expectations as life defining and as self defining, right? It's not just what happens to us, it's what we then make that mean about us, right? When we begin to identify with the unmet expectations, with the wounds, with the suffering, with the hurt, that then we get distorted senses of ourselves and distorted perceptions of the world, right? And so it's a very powerful one. Your second one about not having these old wounds, regrets, and unmet expectations define who and what we are and how we are to be in the world. Um, and I love that rooting and healing and wholeness is the foundation of your forward path. And then the third release was about releasing the fear of being misunderstood. My, and no longer dimming your spiritual light to fit into places or spaces that are not meant for you. Yes, and yes. How many of us have walked with this fear of being misunderstood, right? Being misunderstood by our family, by our friends, by our cultures, by our communities, by our whatever, right? And that fear of being misunderstood causing us to not live with truth and authenticity, right? Or let me say that in a different way, to not live in our full integrity and to hide, to go into hiding, right? To go into hiding, which really is alienates us from parts of ourselves. So this gets back to one of the themes that Delisha was talking about earlier about being in relationship with the many parts of ourselves, right? Coming back into relationship so that we might live fully, brilliantly, and completely who and what we are. And that fear of being misunderstood gets us back to the wound of judgment that I talked about earlier, right? Because on the other side of being judged, and not just being judged, but being judged harshly, is often violation and violence, right? Or keen sense of being endangered, right? So what lies on the other side of harsh judgment is danger. And both danger and the threats of danger have often caused us to live in very small, in small ways that do not reflect the truth about ourselves. So thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to share before we move to the third?
I'm happy to read what I wrote. It was yeah, very short words, but love, trust, be still and go slow, turn inward, be curious, create, listen, don't give in to doubt, don't procrastinate, don't distract, don't numb out. Take the smallest step. It doesn't have to make sense.
Thank you, dear Delisha. I couldn't keep up with all the words. I'm taking notes for everybody, but I got the essence. Love, trust, be still, and go slow. Turn inward. Let me say this slowly. You know what I'm saying? Let me just say it slowly. Or you can say it slowly. Right? Right. I invite you
Right.
to say it again and to
Okay.
slow down so it might just settle in our
Yeah.
vibrations. Go ahead.
Love, trust, be still, and go slow. Turn inward, be curious, create, and listen. Don't give in to doubt. Don't procrastinate. Don't numb out. Take the smallest step, and it doesn't have to make sense.
Yes. 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 I don't think it's that we don't know what to do, right? That for some it might be a lack of awareness. But for more of us, it is not so much a lack of awareness as it is a lack of support. Lack of support. So we get to support each other in these commitments, in loving and trusting, in being still, in going slow, turning inward and being curious, creating and listening, and not getting into self-doubt or procrastination or numbness, and just taking the smallest step, just the smallest step, without it having to make sense and be fully mapped out, without the outcome having to be certain. But if we take just the smallest step, we know that the universe, the cosmos, is the great multiplier. And every step we take gets magnified, multiplied, and amplified by and in the whole. Every single step. Momo, the question was, what are we willing to do or to let go of doing to realize our spiritual aspirations and to live into our spiritual liberation? That was the question that we posted earlier, and we are exploring the 5 foundations of spiritual liberation. And we've now completed the second one. And family, whether or not you have answers to these, I encourage you to take stock of the questions and to give yourself room and time. Give yourself room and time to answer and explore them in this space and beyond this space, and to keep coming back to them. That's their power, right? Isn't just sort of one and done. We keep coming back to them. We come back to them in our living and in our decision making and in our efforting. We come back to them to help us get clear. Remember, these foundations are meant to be both anchor and compass, right? So they help ground us and they help orient us as we move through the rigors of life. Welcome, 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 Tess. So the third foundation, which I mistakenly called the second, was never abdicate your authority. That was the third foundation. Never abdicate your authority. And I said that at Empower, we had arrived at that many years ago, 15 years ago. And the way we talk about it is that we affirm our power and sufficiency under all circumstances. and conditions. That is to say, that we never say that there's anything outside of us ever that strips away our power. And that's a heck of a statement to make, given that there are lots of things that make us feel powerless and that would like us to believe in our powerlessness. The key to the car. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry for that. So never abdicate your authority. So we affirm our power and sufficiency under all circumstances and conditions. And we believe that, to say it if I use a oppression lexicon, is that oppression has never been a match for creative human beings. Right? That those of us who, even under the harshest circumstances, have been able to touch into our agency have indeed been able to push through the violently enforced fictions of communal living. And so the question that I've written that goes with that third foundation, I'm going to stick in the chat. This is really about our spiritual sovereignty and agency, you all. Right? Spiritual sovereignty and agency as a foundation of spiritual liberation. And so the third question is, what do you truly believe has power over you? What do you believe has power over you? It's worth really considering this, substantively considering this, because we are often acting in response to what we believe has power over us. And so it's worth being explicit, like looking at this with curiosity, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Because there's much in our cultural and social context that reinforces daily power over. I mean, there's just so much there. But I want to know what you actually believe has power over you, so that you can look at it, so that I can look at it and be curious about it. And be curious about the ways that it shapes our doing and our being. And so that perhaps we might even question it. So I'll give you a few minutes, as I have with the other questions. Let's take 3 minutes. And this will be our final question of our session today, because I realize that we're coming into time, but I do encourage you, if you're interested, to buy The Way of Liberation by Adyashanti. Perhaps it's an ebook, if it sounds like it's interesting to you. Final minute. All right, family. Are there any of you who would like to share your reflections on the question? The floor is open.
Thank you, Rebecca, and blessing, shalom, and power, and everything good, everybody. I logged on, I was watching a little on YouTube just a moment, and it was Reverend Maybell's face and Delicia's face and your face, Rebecca, in this triangle. And Rebecca, you were talking about, this was 10 minutes ago, about how every small step magnifies the whole. And in this way, I have been experiencing reclaiming my own power. In the past, I acted like the things that had power over me were other people's energies, my own expectations vis-a-vis societal expectations of how I would spend my time, how I would move, how I would look, who I would be in relationship with. I am willing to let go today of the illusion that other people have power over me. I walked through the doors of St. Peter's about a week ago and remembered after that that I have always been a priest in the line of Melchizedek, and I've always been forgiven, and I've always been free, and I will walk accordingly. I walked accordingly. I signed a little pledge for myself that says that I'm not going to watch TV for 40 days or Google anything like Hailey Bieber or Justin Bieber go to Kim Kardashian's Instagram, none of it for 40 days. This is my first day back in St. Louis, and I know that the choice is up to me. I know that the power rests in me. It comes from Christ, but it rests in me. And the fruits of the Spirit are available when I reconstitute them and remember them, pray constantly. I understand now why St. Paul had to say this, in my own way, I understand what it means. So I'm willing to let go of those trappings, and I've just experienced the way that God's response to that courage and that pledge is so profound. It's so beautiful, so much bigger than I ever thought possible. So thank you for the witness. And Momo, your Zoom photo gets me because I'm always like, oh, Z's really looking intently and listening. And then I'm like, it's the still photo, but I love it. I love it so much. So thank you for being here and these questions, for modeling in Empower Institute. My God, like, what does it look like to affirm in every moment of my being the sovereignty of my creation in God and as a God embodied? It's fantastic. May it be so for all of us, and more for every generation hereafter.
Yay, dear Tess. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to St. Louis with all this juiciness, all of this rich wisdom and insight. A deep bow to you for your clarity, and for your clapback, for your saying, look, other people's energies and societal expectations, I no longer give power over me. Right? Because this question about what do you truly believe has power over you, y'all, was a trick question. I mean, y'all know that, right? Based upon who was asking it. It's a trick question. I might as well have said, what have you given your power to? Right? What is it that you are giving power over to? right? To what have you turned your power over? Right? Like that is the question. So it's like, what do you really believe has power over you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, well, what have you given your power over to? For real. Right? And Tess, you walk straight into that and you're like, but I'm taking back the ways in which I've other people's energies and societal expectations I've given my power to, and I'm willing to let go today. That was your language. I am willing to let go today. I am willing to let go today, right? And today, quite honestly, Tess, is the only day. Is the only day. There's no other day. The only day is the one in which you are currently existing, the only moment that you're in. And in this moment, which is the only moment, right? I'm willing to let go of today the illusion that others have power over me. I know that the choice is up to me and the power is within me and the fruits of the Spirit are available to me. God's response to our courage is so profound. God's response to our courage is so profound. Let me say that in a different way, because that's just so God's response to our courage. Let me say it like this. The universe never says no to our thoughts about ourselves and our world. It only amplifies them. The universe never says no to our thoughts about ourselves and our world. It only amplifies those thoughts. Now, I got that from somewhere, so if you all pass that along, please don't attribute it to me because I actually borrowed it from somewhere, but it was decades ago, so I don't remember where. But this idea that if what I've given my power over to is other people's energies, other people's expectations, societal expectations, and those sorts of things, then life will amplify that. I'll be reinforced in that. I'll be reinforced in it, like compounded interest, right? And every day I'll have a series of experiences and I'll make a set of choices that then reinforce my decision to cede my power to. And that becomes like a sticky, like you get so caught up in it. It becomes really hard to extract ourselves, quite honestly, from agreements that we have made. But we can clap back. We can take our power back. Now, I'm not saying that taking our power back makes everybody behave, right? Because there are a lot of things that have been literally feeding off of our confusion. Right? They have been taking life force from that. They've been enlivened by our confusion. And as we cut the cords of those psychic addictions, as we stop leaking spiritual energy and resource into that which is unreal, then, folks can act up. But the fact that they act up has no bearing on our sovereignty. I want you to hear that. Doesn't make us any less sovereign soul. And so what I appreciate and offer deep bow to, Tess, is your clarity, which is no easy thing. Your clarity and your courage, which aren't easy in cultures that operate in and in fact depend upon our confusion. Hey, Mo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think I saw your hand earlier. I certainly saw some reactions, but I want to open up the floor to you.
Yes. Okay. I feel like this question was really meant for me this past 2 weeks. So first I want to say what like I'm like able to like really memory jump and do flashbacks. I'm thinking about the time where you were talking about a conference. I forgot how long ago it was. And you were like cussing because you were amplifying like this person feeling isolation. And then, it went good with some people. Some people were just like felt hurt by it. And well, I liked how you said it's like you didn't internalize it because like hurt is such an ancient wisdom thing. And I'm thinking about that because I've been like moving through how to amplify the hurt that I feel, like the projections that I feel when people like say things to me like, oh, you're sensitive or these things. So I said that, what really moves me is like my dreams, conversations with young people, colors, fabrics, the weather, my heart, play, how grief cracks me open in ways that I will deconstruct, reframe, and assemble my new selves and cells, songs and sonnets, drums and rhythms. I'm moved by truth. I'm willing to let myself rattle, shake, rage, and create. I will amplify what makes me insecure, reinforced in the undertone of what people are really saying. And I'm saying this because like every time I end, like I have this big closure with a client that I've been like just in there in the business. Like I know everything. I know everything. I know every story there is to know. But I'm just like, there's no ritual of like how I've changed and how they've impacted me. And I will never ever be the same again. Like I will never be the same. I will never see the same. I will never feel the same. I just can't. And some people don't even get to have those experiences. And so I had to create some art around like how I'm dying because it is a death. There's a constant death and reawakening, especially as I disappoint people, right? Like I should feel like I go through like mommy guilt, especially working with like young people, where I'm like, oh, like I said the wrong thing, but it's not even the wrong thing. It's the right thing. It's just not the therapist thing, right? And so I'm just like so fortunate, and I know that these youth will never know how fortunate it was to even be cracked open through their stories and like the parts of me I have to bring to them to even guide them through. And really that I'm guiding myself through. Like I'm the lucky one. Like I am so lucky and so grateful and almost sometimes feel so unworthy because in order to do this work, you have to always be open. And to be open is really laborious. And I wouldn't change it for anything.
Thank you, dear one, for sharing, for participating, for paying attention on Facebook or wherever we are streaming live, and then and for jumping on and for sharing your wisdom. I'm so struck by your reflections on your interactions with the young ones that you are in service with, and how and how it can be a little messy in terms of the profession has some very sort of strict boxes or highly regulated boxes and behaviors, and how operating at times beyond what is most familiar within that, and at times saying things that might feel like they're not the right things. All is useful. All is useful. I'm struck by something that Octavia Butler wrote that I think is in alignment with the insights that you shared. And it might be in the beginning of the parable of the sower when she is talking about God has changed. You remember that? But in there, she says, everything you touch, you change. And everything you change changes you. Right? So when you said, and I'm not the same, like I'm different, right? It's the greatest compensation that that we are being changed by what is changing us. That everything that we touch, that there's this process of creation and co-creation that is always and ever happening. Always and ever happening. And it is multi-directional, right? It's multi-directional. It's not just happening from us. And it's not just happening to us. It is happening with us. So I think this is a great note on which to wrap up our time together. And I'm going to close us out here, Spirit Rising. I don't have foundations, but I would say three essential foundations. Practicing absolute sincerity, and being caring for ourselves are the other foundations. Being stewards of our lives are the other foundations. Again, you can download the ebook. Tess put the link in the chat, and I think it's free. The printed book is not, but the ebook is. But I want to close us with, I think, how I closed this in our July session, with a reminder. You know, July's topic was the quest for liberation, and Adyashanti's book is The Way of Liberation. But both quest and way use language that is indeed imprecise and perhaps even misleading, because it suggests that the liberation that we seek, the actualization that we seek, the awakening, the enlightenment, the connection, the wholeness that we seek lies outside of ourselves, right? We have got to walk away. We have got to engage in a quest. And the truth is that liberation, spiritual liberation, does not want to be sought. It wants to be expressed. It wants to be expressed. You all, we don't have to go get it, right? It is a way, these are ways of being, essential ways of being that we engage and express. They're already in us. So I'm mindful of the language because it's useful language, right? The quest for and the way of. But it presumes underlying that is a consciousness of separation. We are separate from. And I want to explicitly say that is a trap and that we are not separate from. Rumi says that any search always takes the seeker away from that which he or she desires and is working to pursue. Any search always takes us away from that which we desire and are working to pursue. What we seek is not apart from us, but within us, waiting to be activated and more fully expressed. So let's remember that. It is always and ever, right now, right here. It is not lifetimes away. It's not miles away. It's not light years away. And it's not even like spiritual practices away. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the right behaviors, the right practices, the right thing will then get us to. No, it already is, and it already is you. It already is you. It already is me. And everything that we do is really an effort to remember. It's an effort to remember, but the doing, you know, the being is what it is. The doing is useful, but not necessary. It's useful. Liberation, your spiritual liberation, wants to be expressed. And right now, in community, in relationship with each other, in reflection on spiritual questions, in review of Adyashanti's teachings, in connection to our own lived experience, we are liberating and liberation. Hold that you are it, that it is you. And this is what it looks like. Now, that may not be like the Hollywood blockbuster movie with all the bells and the whistles and the, what do you call it, fireworks going off and the, you know, the big soundtracks and stuff. But this is spiritual liberation right here. In you, as you. Blessings upon you, Spirit Rising family. May you move through this week keenly aware of the spiritual aspirations, longings, and liberation that is undergirding and underlying your life, your precious life. May you keep touching into this as positive resource, as spiritual clarity and intelligence that aids and abets your discernment as you move through the rigors of life, that orients you to what not only matters most, but is most real, that helps you see through the illusions that would bind your spiritual sovereignty and reduce your agency. Keep touching in, keep touching in, keep touching in, until that's all there is. And any sense of separation from you and that which you seek dissolves within the infinitude of your being. Take that with you as you go through the week. Blessings upon you. We're in this thing together, and we're not alone. Come on off mute and wish everybody a wonderful week.
Happy week.
Have a good week, everyone.
Blessings.
Bye, you all.
Yes,
Have a great.
Thank you, Rebecca. Namaste.
Namaste.
blessings.